I think we'll get started anyway because we do have a couple people calling in and a couple people on the panel. And you know, the rest of the day flows through with it too. So my name is Julie Pond. I work for the Northwest Barrie Foundation. I'm based in Portland. We have been collaborating with WSU, Wendy Ohashi-Earhart and Lisa DeVetter is also kind of part of this project, exploring fresh market production in Washington and kind of getting the full map of things. We know that the Washington Strawberry Commission disbanded a few years ago, and so this was one of those projects that we decided to investigate. So this is the second installment, I guess, second meeting. Last year was the first, and yeah, we'll see how it goes through the day. So I would like to introduce two growers that are present on the panel here today. Oh, okay, great. Mike Hulbert and Randy Kraft, they both, so one is Skagit County and one is Whatcom County located. Both have fresh market on their farms. And then we have two people that are calling in. Jessica Stetchers is from the Portland location of Charlie's Produce. And correct me if I'm wrong, I tend to wing it sometimes. And we have John Janker that's also from Charlie's, but located, John, you're located in Seattle, right?
Yes, I am. And so is Jessica. She's just calling in from our Portland facility. She's down there working with some of our local growers in crop planting today.
Got it. Okay, well, thank you guys for calling in. Appreciate it. So there might be some lag time in between. This is a question answer thing. I do have questions if you look at all the yellow highlights here, but that does not mean that you guys, you know, that I'm going to block you guys from asking questions also. So by all means, chime in. I do want to make sure that we use the microphone, particularly in this case, both from the hub locations in Vancouver and Prosser, but also for the panel buyers that are calling in. So I am going to start with some buyer question. I'll go buyer, grower for now. So I'll start with some buyer questions here. So for the buyers, what sort of fresh strawberries are you looking for or want? If there's a particular variety that you guys look for or find that works better for your system, you can expand on that also.
Well, I'll start first and then let Jessica fill in. Jessica is actually our strawberry buyer for our Seattle location, so she's closer to the varietals and the product mixes that we typically would buy today. But certainly an Albion is a varietal of strawberry that we've had a lot of success with our domestic growers. I believe the local growers are starting to grow that varietal as well. Pack configurations typically have not changed a lot on a local berry program. They typically have been flats or half flats or third flats most recently. They hit certain price points that the retailers are trying to achieve at store level. I think there's been a pretty large increase also in our food service business. Charlie's business is about 50-50 food service and retail. I would say, you know, there's restrictions to this, obviously, in the type of berries that are grown and the volatility of them and how they're not very durable, bred for durability, but clamshells and such for local berries would be awesome. But we also recognize that those are berries that we grow up here in the Northwest and typically won't make it to retail when you pack them in a clamshell because of bruising and such. So with that, Jessica, you want to add add to that?
On the Albion, that is a very popular variety, but we've had one of our local growers pack it in a clamshell and it actually holds up pretty decent. That was a couple of years ago that we did that. It does work. But clearly if it rains and whatnot, we can't have them packed in a clamshell because it just makes them go bad too quickly. But anything like an Albion that's more shelf stable is going to definitely expand our shelf life for the product, the consumer, and it's actually more beneficial for the grower.
I'll add one other thing to that, which I put on one of the notes. I'm not sure if we're going to get to it a little bit later, but Jessica and I were talking a little bit about what we've seen in the berry industry in general, from raspberries to blueberries and some of the growing areas that we procure product from South America, from Chile, Peru, Argentina, all the way up to the Mexican Peninsula and California and then up to the Northwest. And some of the success growers have been having to combat the adverse weather issues are hoops, things that can protect the product from rain and weather, as well as at times bring a crop on early so we can hit certain windows.
Okay, that is helpful. Thank you, guys. I'm going to go into a grower question here. Both of you guys can chime in. How was the fresh production season this past season for you? And if you noticed anything unusual about this year versus other years?
This is working, correct?
Can
you hear me?
Can the buyers hear also?
Yes.
Yes.
For us, we had that tough February, which was really hard on the early Albion crop. So that was down. Our June bearing, our normal June bearing varieties were I'd say good or above average. Real good year for that. And then the late Albion, we got hit this year real hard with anthracnose, which, I've never had happen before. I've been doing Albion for 10 or 12 years. So anyway, so that was a little tough, but other than that, all in all, it was a year we had pretty cool weather during our big June crop. So the quality stayed pretty good and yeah, went pretty well.
Mike, do you want to add to that?
Yeah. We're a new grower. It's our second year. So we have the second year Albions. All we grow is Albions. The first year stuff, we fumigated, so we were able to plant a little earlier, but our first year stuff was slow. It was cooler. Fruit quality was great, but our second year Albions just blew me away. We had a phenomenal year. We're like I say, we're still building systems. So I couldn't really tell you tonnage, but I had, way more fruit than I could sell. I was a little understaffed on labor, but fortunately, blackberries, at least in Skagit, had some serious winter damage. So there was some labor around. Yeah, we threw a lot of fruit away, but we picked a lot of fruit right up until that September rain hit us and just took us completely out. We had a 3-inch rain event. Another thing is I have to figure out a way to supply July fruit. I have a lull there. So we create this excitement and then we have that lull until that the Albion kicks in that second push, the big push. So we had a great year, and it was new getting into some stores, but we created a lot of excitement.
So again, you guys are welcome to put your hand up so that I actually catch if you have a question for any of these people up here. But I will go back to the buyers with what are you guys hearing from customers? I'm assuming, but maybe I shouldn't assume. And honestly, this is a grower question also, really. But we'll start with the buyers. Has the local push changed over the last few years? The local demand for fruit, and then how are you kind of maneuvering through that need?
John, do you want to go or me?
Go ahead.
So personally, the local customer or our customer base, they love local produce. It's a huge push for them and they're constantly wanting more. Last year, we didn't have as much as we probably could have used on strawberries. So of course, they're always wanting more. They're always looking for more. And we have our chefs that work, we work closely with too, that are constantly looking for local items to last them all throughout summer. And strawberries is always one of those key ones, and they're very happy to support it. We cut back on a lot of fruit that we buy from California so that we can increase our local demand and help our local farmers sell their product.
Yeah, I would echo that. The demand for local is continuing to grow. The emphasis on supporting local is certainly strong and healthy out there. We even have that on our trucks. We've been supporting local agriculture for over 40 years. And we continue to look and help support that. The struggles, and I think some of the growers had mentioned that with rain and inconsistency and the short shelf lives. Those are the biggest challenges we have as a wholesaler to get the product to market. And I'm sure the growers feel that too. So anything that can be done in regards to varietals that still have that local flavor and taste and such to extend the shelf life would certainly be wanted. Anything that we can do to control Mother Nature, to be more consistent in supply and or not have rains and things like that affect us. All of those things are challenges. And I do recognize too, I heard labor get thrown in that from the grower side. We see that not only here in Washington, but across the industry in regards to farming, to the transportation, logistics, and warehouse and operations.
Do the growers want to chime in at all, or do you kind of, with that question, do you agree demand is still on point, increasing? Are consumers kind of pushing for something?
Oh, I think there's. We had a really fun year. We created a huge amount of excitement. When we contacted a small little chain and said we had, Albion, and it was in June, and they're saying, well, hey, we're looking for June bearing fruit. So I said, hey, come up and look at my field. So it was in June, and he comes up, and I said, okay, you tell me that's not June bearing fruit, because my fields were loaded. So they're thinking, okay, well, we have our suppliers and we're into June bearing fruit. Contact us, after the season. But we're not sure we can really sell a berry in August because we have raspberries coming off. We don't know if we could sell berries in July. Well, I didn't have it just because of the production cycle. July's a tough time to supply fruit. Those plants are going dormant. We got to figure something out there. But when we hit the markets in August, there was just a huge amount of excitement, and strawberries are still king. Of the berries, people come to the market and they want to buy strawberries. So I don't think there's a ceiling right now. There's definitely not enough acreage around, and we need to look at things at shelf life, the packaging, and how we build this system, because it's perishable. I mean, I grew up a berry grower, and a third day strawberry, to me, I don't eat third day strawberries, So when my name's on that, and it's presented out in front of a store, it's tough. So how do we build these systems? How do I get, and I need to be 3 days shelf life. I mean, just so it moves through the system. So that's what we need to work on.
Yeah, definitely shelf life is our big problem here in the Northwest. But to me, if you're going to have sugar solids and fruit, you aren't going to have shelf life. That's just the bottom line. And the Albion does help a little bit. But still, I'd say an Albion's maybe a 2-day at best, shelf life that we grow up here. But so that's definitely our biggest challenge, is we don't have any legs if we're talking about expanding and moving a lot of fruit.
So I'm going to kind of generalize that comment and mention, you know, I work more on the grower end of things, and so I hear this a lot, but you know, it's something that to me it seems like growers continuously get pinched. You know, they're pinched with finding ways of, you know, meeting labor demands and now meeting perhaps cooling. You know, I work a lot with Oregon growers, and there's a lot of movement towards cooling facilities and finding better ways to, you know, increase that shelf life. But again, it's another pinch, you know? And so when listening to the buyer side of things that you guys are speaking about, and hoop houses and low tunnels, and we'll be discussing that today. I mean, that's what this is about today. But I just, you know, so I guess this wraps into a buyer question for you. I mean, where's your price point? You know, I think that's the main thing that the industry, you know, needs some confidence in, really, because, you know, if the shelf life is going to you know, increase, and if you guys are able to, you know, lengthen the time that the product can be on your shelves as buyers, then, you know, how can you guys best, you know, it's a chicken and an egg thing, I get that, but you know, where do you guys kind of come in to try and solve that from your end?
I'll take that part of it, Jessica. I think we've proven it time and time again at Charlie's that price isn't necessarily a deterrent. We had an organic, I'm sorry, not an organic, but a hydroponic strawberry grower that wanted to try something down in California, and the berries were quite more expensive than other berries, but the quality, the eating flavor, and such was there that had a value, and that's what we try to offer our customers. We get it. We're feeling the same pinch too. You know, labor is becoming more expensive. You know, our main operation is in Seattle. It has a higher minimum wage than most of the state. You know, and we're having to try to pay our farmers as much as they can to be viable as well. So I wouldn't let that hold people back. Invest in that technology. Look to try to extend that shelf life. On the flip side, we're also doing things. We order our berries today, and we have a truck picking them up that evening, that night, and we have them in here the next morning and selling them. In some cases, the same day. So we've got to put things in place to address that real short shelf life, to be able to bring a great eating experience to our customers and their customers. So, you know, price, while buyers typically will say, hey, you need to be priced competitively, we are certainly changing our ways and approaches to, and trying to upsell that product, and the consumer's taking it because they're recognizing they want to support local, they want the eating quality, and all of the above. Jess, you want to expand on that?
I would say the same thing. We're not a company who's completely price driven. We support a lot of local farmers, and we'll never, when California markets dump, we don't go where those go. We support a lot of our growers in the best way we typically can, and we've never been a price driven company. So we actually, you know, if they say we need this amount of money, we try to go out there and tell them this is what we need to pay our grower. And, you know, sales works really hard to get the traction on that and make sure that we're able to satisfy that and make sure that our grower is being taken care of too, because we do understand all of the changes going on right now, especially with the increase of cost of labor. You know, it's happening in Seattle, it's happening everywhere. So we're doing our best to make sure that we're increasing as things increase and times change too.
I have one other piece to that is from a marketing perspective, we will take that kind of information if somebody's putting hoops in or using pots for blueberries or starting a season earlier and finding those windows. You know, those are opportunities that we want our growers to take advantage of because it differentiates us, it differentiates our growers, and we bring a value out there that's not necessarily, you know, always necessarily a quality of product or availability, but I would say it's availability. It's It's finding those windows and bringing stuff to market when nobody else has it. That's what drives produce in general. It's a market-driven product. And if we can add those extra values, the consumer will pay for that.
Oh, growers, you just heard what was said here, and I know, you know, it's easy to just talk about it, right? But do you guys want to mention anything about that from your end? I mean, does that vision feel even kind of in your realm of a possibility? You know, investing in kind of all these additional things and kind of building that into your system. And you can be honest. I mean, I think.
Well, I think, yeah, that's obviously where there's opportunities. And I know our little operation, that's over the last 8-10 years, that's what we've tried to expand on. We went to anything we can do to get earlier or later, to try and fill windows. And I think Charlie's is spot on. I've never sold to them, but I think, you know, the prices I've seen that they give and stuff to their growers, it seems like they do as well as they can, you know, and at a decent price point. So, you know, and as far as I know, yeah, they've been really good for, you know, buying local fruit from local growers that have it or need to sell it and have good quality and all that stuff. Yeah.
Mike, do you want to add anything?
Oh, I kind of got lost in the whole thing, but no, I've heard similar results as far as Charlie's, because when we first got in, and you start talking to people, and they start talking price points, and I just think it's an education process, because growing in Albion, extending the seasons, these are all hugely value added. I mean, these are services that I truly believe the public wants. We're giving them a very high quality product. So I like that conversation of getting away from price points and just looking at the quality of product and rewarding excellence. There again, I haven't sold to Charlie's. I've heard good things. I also know people say they have price points and in June, when there's a lot of fruit, you know, that's being pushed into the system. That's one thing. Once you get out of that, you know, 25, 30 days, I don't know how long your June bearing, you could push that. People will buy quality. So, and it's really educating myself as a farmer, what the system Charlie has, and then educating with Charlie these new systems, because there are new systems to get fresher quality fruit out there. I would just say we're doing night harvest now, and I tell you, so if you do night harvest, then you do early morning pickups, then you could do same day deliveries. But that doesn't fit the system you mentioned. So I'm just throwing things out there. This is a brand, to me, it's a brand new time and an exciting time in the berry business. So
I know this was only a half an hour, so I apologize for that. But I will, I kind of do want to ask, but do you as buyers have any questions for the grower group here? And from the same side of the, I know I've asked the audience, but even you guys on the panel, do you have any direct questions to, you know, this league of buyer at this point?
No.
So, okay, and a better question would be, if a grower wants to be in contact with you to, no offense, I had a really hard time trying to even get in touch with you guys and in your system of things, because I am not a grower for one. So perhaps growers have an easier time getting in touch with you or other more kind of wholesale type buyers. But what are the steps that growers need to know to think about even expanding their, you know, their production on farm? with you?
You're addressing that to us, Julie, the buyers?
Yes.
Okay. From a buyer perspective, today, food safety is huge. We just went through a romaine withdrawal in the market. It seems like every year things are coming out and happening. So food safety is becoming more and more important. So we certainly have a pretty rigorous vendor requirement for growers to sell to us, which is a smart thing to do. When I say pretty rigorous, and we do understand that small growers aren't necessarily going to be able to have the same type of requirements and documentations that a major grower throughout the country may have. So we have the ability to, bend a little bit. And most of those requests come across my desk. So we have to be careful, while at the same time, we know what it takes to grow product and how important that is for us as a company. So I would say, you certainly can get a hold of us. We have growers calling us all the time, and we listen to those growers, and we always vet through them and make sure that they can meet our needs and how that plays into the rest of the growers we have. We certainly, we can't just stop buying from one to take on another's. And that's why it's important to also look at how do we find niches, and how do we extend seasons, how do we bring innovation into the industry to find out how we sell more product. I don't think we are overproduced on strawberries today. And one thing I also heard is both these growers don't sell the Charlies today. My assumption is that maybe they go direct to the retailer. We've had a lot of success helping our growers that have in the past gone directly to retail eliminate that, I don't want to say hassle, but that issue, because it's becoming harder to make deliveries. Everything's getting more expensive. Where we can consolidate that product here at Charlie's and get out to a larger footprint. And if today, for instance, in Washington, most of those growers we work with, that product stays here in Washington, and because it won't travel. But we're also working with Oregon growers in our Oregon facility, as well as growers out in Spokane, so we can have that fresh product and get to that market, because it is a short window and a short shelf life. So if we can expand that, there's opportunities to take strawberries and get them up into Alaska, where we have a distribution center, and even down into California, I could compete with a California product that's got the right eating quality. We took a peach, for instance, that's a Washington-grown peach this year, and sold $1 million worth of peaches down into the California market because we had a unique niche market and product that we were able to do so. So there's all kinds of little things like that working together we can orchestrate.
I'll add in too, as far as getting a hold of us, you can go onto our website, the Charlie's Produce website, and there's contact information. You can call directly and ask the receptionist to speak to, the strawberry buyer or John Janker, or even a buyer in our office can help direct them to the correct buyer to reach out to. We also have Facebook, where you can go on and send a message through Facebook, which I know not a lot of people do, but some people do it. And I think it's a popular thing here and there. So there's multiple ways of trying to get through the lines of communication to Charlie's.
Okay. And then from the grower side, I know we're honestly going to be needing to finish up questions here, but what are a couple of things that you guys wish that you would love to see from a local fresh strawberry industry? And I guess that really is kind of a broad question, but just open it up here to either of you. I'm thinking, education component, something that you wish the consumers would be, educated on, or the buyers would be educated on, or, you guys, you're in an island state. Like you need to make sure that you're getting this information out to the people that you need it to get out to, and vice versa. So.
Well, for me, there again, 2 years into it, everything is new. I mean, every year is new. I don't have, I have more questions to everybody out there. University support, WSU, OSU is huge. You know, I build my system. We're looking at, you know, 120-day supply to 150-day supply. That's the reality. That's the end state. And how do I do that consistently? Now there again, I've got 4 acres, you know, so it can't happen fast enough. But I'm also, you make mistakes, and I can't be out of fruit. I mean, being out of fruit is a terrible feeling. So there's just packaging. I think there's packaging and post-harvest techniques that I don't even know who to have these discussions with. I know, you know, California, Florida, those guys are the experts, but like Randy said, we're a high sugar product. I mean, and we want that high sugar product. Actually, you want the supply chain to run out every day, so that they get fresh fruit every day. That's what I want to see. So yeah, I need help, communication, packaging. What can we do? No bruising. Tell you another thing is, and I apologize for taking long, professional pickers. I mean, we get some, we found some people from Oxnard come up and they start picking, and they can stack fruit, and they can make a flat, almost laser plane flat, and no bruising. And it's a work of art. Another thing, but when you stack fruit, I'm taking a 5-pound flat and putting 6 pounds of berries in it. So it's tough then to communicate that added value. But I'm telling you, professional pickers they're awesome. So,
but you did just bring up labor. Randy, do you want to add?
Yeah, sure. You know, the labor thing, I had written down here, robotic picker. In reality, professional pickers, yeah, people that are really good. You know, what we really need for ag, period, is a streamlined guest worker program, something that would work for, especially, you know, like the guest worker program now, it's impossible for a small little operation to use it. It's just, the costs are just, and the effort is just, you know, unreasonable. So, but the other thing that probably be on my wish list would be a decent late June bearing variety to help fill the gap till Albion comes back on. The Sweet Sunrise looks like it's going to help out a little bit for that early part, but it'd be nice to get a late one. So yeah, and we don't, you know, this, I know how breeding programs go. It takes a long time to find varieties and stuff, but it'd be nice, so we can always wish for it.
No, I mean, this is information. You know, we have some researchers within the crowd too, so we are thinking about stuff like that also. Okay, any last remarks? Anybody out here? Anybody on the panels? I do want to thank you. I really appreciate you guys coming up to speak a little bit. I know that there's oftentimes trade secrets that you know, you kind of hold close, but these are good conversations that we need to have as an industry, especially when, you know, the communication seems to be a little you know, discombobulated sometimes. So thank you guys. Thank you all, even up in the Seattle area too. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.